Are you ready for this jam? Because I sure as hell ain't. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Michael Eaton here.
Zach Watson, and that was a painful joke. I mean, at least we already have a segue into the review.
I know. It's better than anything we got here. And as you guys can tell, we are doing our review of Space Jam: A New Legacy. And I think we should, before we go into our thoughts, I think we should talk about what we thought of the original one.
I mean, that sounds fair. So then, to start it off, the original was fine. Nothing groundbreaking, nothing spectacular. It was fine.
Yeah.
It did what it needed to do. It came in, it told a story. It let us see the Looney Tunes do something crazy with live action and animation in a mix.
Yeah.
It gave us surprisingly strange nightmare fuel with the stretchy arm.
Yeah.
But I thought it was fine. I thought it was a good laugh. They had some good jokes. They had some good cameos. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, and what I thought of the original, I mean, I was a big Looney Tune fan, but I knew who Michael Jordan was because my older brother is like the biggest fan of him, and he's a big Chicago Bulls fan. He had everything Michael Jordan in terms of merchandise and pictures and magazines. He was the biggest fan, so I knew this film quite well because he would watch it all the time with me. And what I remember is I loved the animation. The Looney Tunes were funny, although I did like the cool idea of them interacting with the real world.
Yup.
I mean, when you're young, that's a cool idea, seeing a cartoon interact with the real world.
It kind of feels that idea of like, what if I could do what that cartoon does?
Yeah.
Like when you see characters get hit by something heavy and they just get up like nothing happened, you know, or an explosion, and all they do is just turn their face around and, again, walk away like nothing happened. As a kid, you wish you could do that. Just be like, ooh, I'm gonna go play a prank on somebody, hit them with something hard, but then they're not actually hurt, so no harm, no foul, but it's just funny.
Right. And now that came out in 1996, I believe.
Right?
Yeah, I think it was 1996. I'm debating. I don't know if it was 95 or 96. It was definitely the mid 90s when things were like totally rad and totally hip and totally just everything was just so like, yeah, it was like
96.
Yes, I was right.
1996.
I think it was only like, wow, not that high on Rotten Tomatoes. I just realized no. And so now we have this sequel with LeBron James. Now, oh Lord, this is going to be difficult because there's
Avoid politics.
No. It ain't that. There's a few good things in this. Number one, I like the Looney Tunes in the animated world. I thought that was kind of funny, and seeing all the Easter eggs. We won't go into what it is, but there's a few funny Easter eggs, especially if you're...
There are definitely a few funny callbacks, like to one, a lot of the callback jokes to the original being like breaking the fourth wall and being like, wow, I feel like I've already done this before.
Right.
You know? That kind of stuff, that tongue-in-cheek humor of like, hey, we know what we're doing, but we're just going to make sure you understand that we know, and we know this isn't going to be like top A, like Oscar-winning, best movie of the century, highest grossing film in the universe kind of deal.
Oh, it's far from that. But I do like, especially if you're a Warner Brothers fan, you will like a lot of the Easter eggs.
And the way they introduce the characters. So, for a quick plot synopsis, you have LeBron James, who is a bit tough on his kids, or at least one in particular, because he's taught them to play basketball. He wants them to be good and eventually pro players like he is, following in his footsteps. Well, one of his kids wants to instead create video games. And the kid built his own video game from scratch for an upcoming E3 show-off to try to sell it off and make more and make a career out of it.
Ironically based on the sport of basketball.
Exactly. And, well, LeBron gets an offer from Warner Brothers thanks to our main antagonist, Al G. Rhythm. I'll let you take that joke in as your own pace.
I'm sorry, that is a terrible, terrible neighbor villain played by Don Cheadle, who
was wasted. He was wasted potential in this movie. He could have done so much better. He could have been better off in any other movie.
I'm convinced
he's a great actor.
I think he was legit wasted when he was doing this movie.
But he then sends an offer to Warner Brothers executives. They then forward the offer to LeBron James to bring him in and be like, hey, we want you in our movies, but because we know you're a busy athlete with a ton of traveling for your work and everything else that you do as an entrepreneur and such, We're going to digitally scan your body and put you into our movies that way. He ended up thinking it was a dumb idea, walked down on it. His kid was intrigued. Don Cheadle, playing Algie Rhythm, was like, hey, kid, come help me, come work with me, we'll figure stuff out, it'll be great. Next thing you know, they're in something called the Warner Brotherverse or something along the lines.
The Warnerverse is what it was, yeah.
Basically, it is now up to LeBron James to get a team of players to defeat Algie Rhythm in a game of basketball to save his son. But it's not just basketball, not like how it was in Space Jam 1. Instead, it is his son's game that he built called, what was it, like Dawn Ball or something?
Yeah, it was Dawn Ball.
Dawn Ball, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's no longer just basketball. It's instead, you're able to score multiple points based on style, skill, and all this other stuff with all sorts of power-ups that are thrown throughout the match, and it's a wild ride,
And
to say the least.
And ironically, LeBron James stumbles upon. Now, I do like this. We're going to go in a little bit of a spoiler here. Cause,
Always. If you're watching our live streams, you know spoiler alerts all the time.
Exactly. So I do like when LeBron James ends up in Toon World, he comes across Bugs Bunny. And what I find ironic, because I honestly like that part of the movie because Bugs Bunny is the only one there. Mm-hmm. You notice that? Because spoiler alert, apparently Algie Rhythm has convinced the rest of the Looney Tunes to leave their universe to go off and do their own thing, which I think you and I both agreed that the scene where they're rounding them all up.
Those scenes where they're getting all the other Looney Tunes playing like a catch-a-thon game was honestly one of the best parts of the movie, in my opinion.
For me, it was the only good part of the movie because, like, for example, they find Daffy Duck in Metropolis pretending to be Superman, and they go off and find Lola Bunny, who's played by Zendaya. They find her in
the Amazonian, or
Themyscira.
Yep.
They find her as working with Wonder Woman, and I forgot where they found. Oh, they found Granny in The Matrix.
Yes, they found Granny in The Matrix. They found a couple of characters in Casablanca.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of just one-off jokes on, like, gathering these characters and callbacks to all sorts of Warner history since the company was formed and did movie productions and such. And honestly, that was, one of the best parts, if not the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite parts was honestly back in the beginning, before we led up to the whole gotta get the rest of the Looney Tunes or whatever. It's the fact that LeBron was animated for a hot second, and one of his passing jokes that I think flies over a lot of people's heads if you're not listening to the dialogue is when his legs are hiding because he fell into the ground, he pops up and screams, "Oh no, I'm shorter than Kevin Hart." One of the best throwaway jokes in the world.
And another one that you picked up on is, of course, when he falls into the Toon World for the first time, he falls through the ground, and the shape is the Nike logo.
The tongue-in-cheek humor is there. It's strong. However, tongue-in-cheek humor does not carry the film alone.
No, it does not.
Like we've already said, when they were going and rounding up all the other tunes, it was kind of a clever way to kind of build up what kind of character arc Bugs Bunny was supposed to have.
Right.
Because like every other good movie, your characters have to have an arc, a reasoning, something that motivates them, something that helps them change and grow over the course of time. Well, Bugs Bunny's whole setup is, hey, he has to go play basketball to save his kid. I'm going to abuse that to my benefit to find my friends and bring them back to Toon World. Because characters.
I know.
It's the cheapest way to say, hey, I need you to go out here and make me a ton of money because you're all my property and you're about to go adventure out through all of my other properties that I own. But just do it and play a game of basketball. How hard could that be?
Plus going back to the first one, what was really the plot? It was aliens wanting a new attraction for their theme park, so they want to kidnap the Looney Tunes to make them money. And yet they challenged them to a game of basketball because why not?
Because at that time they were small and weak, so they could have beaten them. But then those aliens were like, we'll steal the talent from every other basketball player. So
Right.
they just chose 5 players randomly, had them touch a magic basketball, their ability was drained and put into them. And then they're like, oh no, we need Michael Jordan's help, of course, because
Yes.
most popular star at the time. So he comes in, he's like, I retired from basketball 2 seconds later because one of the aliens picks on him. He's like, all right, that's it. Nice guy gone. Michael Jordan. Shut up. Michael Jordan's coming to play and playing it seriously.
That's ignorant. You're ignorant. I knew you would make that mistake. Don't worry, everyone's made that mistake. Oh, even though it's hard to make that mistake.
Shut up.
I have water in my mouth. But anyway, back to the newer one. So when they finally get to the big game, and Al G Rhythm, God, that's a horrible name. He just suddenly sucks in all the people who are watching this live stream, and he brings them into the mainframe of Warnerverse. I mean, LeBron's family is in there, a bunch of other Easter eggs. You see the Mystery Machine at one point.
So basically anything that has Warner Brothers' name or any company that is owned by Warner Brothers, you can guarantee they made a cameo.
Yes.
And it's not just like a one and done glance of like, hey, you're there. Hey, you're there. No. This is every type of cameo you can expect, from one-off side villains in that one show you remember seeing when you were 3 years old, all the way to the most recent iteration of said characters.
Yeah.
Biggest example being Rick and Morty. They made a cameo.
Yeah, for like 5 seconds, but even then they were still hysterical.
I mean, heck, who else made cameos? Almost all of Hanna-Barbera's lineups.
Iron Giant.
Iron Giant definitely made an appearance. DC heroes, DC villains. You even had the aliens from the first Space Jam making an appearance.
Yeah, in their original animated form, which I really enjoyed. And there was one who shows up in halftime. Not to give too much away, but it's Michael Jordan, but not the Michael Jordan they're thinking of.
So there was a throwaway gag because everybody was thinking, okay, are they going to bring Michael Jordan in? Is this going to be like a team up between the two? And who was it? I think it was Sylvester the cat.
Yeah.
He comes in screaming, I found Michael Jordan, doing his old thuttering thing. And then here comes Michael B. Jordan.
From Black Panther and Creed.
And just, he came in for like a quick second cameo, like, I'm not that Michael Jordan. Says one other quip or two and then walks off to go find his seat in the stands to go watch the game. Because, of course, instead of being like, yeah, let me be a part of the Toon Squad, he's just like, no, I'll let you guys duke this out. I'm going to go eat my popcorn.
I'm too busy counting money I made from Black Panther.
He was too busy counting the money he got for that cameo. The heck you mean?
Oh, yeah.
But I mean...
I found what's funny. They do the whole thing where they're fighting off evil, quote-unquote, beings, but instead of it being talent from real players, they bring real players into the world as those avatars.
Kind of. So, going back to the whole video game thing that LeBron's son did, the game Domball was the basketball-based game that he was developing, and thus becomes the caveat for the final battle. Well, in that game, because of course he is LeBron's son, he meets all these amazing players from all these different teams, and from LeBron's past as he built up his career, he got to use his tech to scan their movements so that way he could put it into the code and make it easier so that way he could better animate the game, better put in his skills and techniques, and just basically create a well-rounded game. But by doing that, he also asked if he could put those characters in the game. So not only were they real players, they were the avatars based on them.
Yeah.
And to go with, supervillain, Mojo, whatever, they were then changed to have superpowers of sorts. So you've got somebody called Wetfire, who literally controls water and fire at the same time.
There's a giant metal robot at one point
who had the ability to manipulate time. There was one that was part spider. basically they were just your villains of the week from any Power Rangers show you could think of.
I mean, at least in the first Space Jam, I could remember the bad guys. I remember the tall green one. I remember the dumb blue one. There was the
speedy purple.
Yeah.
And then there was the
short, long-eared.
Yeah, that was the
one
red
with
one.
the nasally voice.
Pretty sure that was the red one.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least we can remember something about them. However, this one you can barely remember.
I don't even remember what the avatars in this movie looked like.
All I gotta say is the funniest part was quite literally the forced ending. Because what happens is Dom is playing the game, Algae Rhythm is starting to reveal his true colors as the bad guy, and so Dom's like, you know what, I don't want to play with you no more. I'm gonna go play with my dad. So he goes over, joins the Toon Squad. Algae Rhythm doesn't like that, so he buffs himself up, gets himself in the game, and the literal final battle is just asininely cheesy in all the wrong ways.
Yeah.
And the emotional climax is even worse because here we're supposed to have LeBron bonding with his son and realizing, hey, you know what? Clearly your mom and you are right. I'm not paying enough attention to what you want and instead being greedy with my needs and my desires for you. And instead of having a legit emotional climax that's supposed to make us really feel for him, it literally feels so cheap, so botched. He's just like, we won. High five, son.
He's like, we won.
And then it ends with him taking his son to basketball camp, which ends up being the E3 convention that he wanted to go to in the beginning of the film. But instead of there being like a deep emotional bond between them, being like, you know, this is your passion, and I'm gonna start harboring you to let you go on this, and not so much be what I want.
Right.
You don't get any of that. He's just like, all right, fine. You want to go to E3 so bad? Here's your E3. Go show off your game, I guess, since it did almost kill me and your entire family.
Yeah.
As well as end all of the Warnerverse.
Oh, and don't forget the other emotional moment of the film. So, I gotta go into this. So
this one was bad.
They try to allude that Bugs Bunny dies in this. They try to allude that Bugs Bunny sacrifices himself for the Toon Squad.
And not just the Toon Squad, all the people that were stuck in this virtual world.
Yeah.
All the Toons, and possibly even all of the Warnerverse, because Algae Rhythm was just ready to end it all, essentially. He was just going to be like, you know what? Erase the Warnerverse.
Right. But after they win, spoiler alert, like you give a shit. They win the big game. Algae Rhythm is basically banished, and the Toons all go home. But then all of a sudden, you know, Bugs Bunny just starts. I mean, what was it? That he got stabbed in the heart or something?
No, what happened was
I don't even remember.
God, what was it? What happened that made him like...
Yeah, see, that's how memorable this frickin' movie is.
So, that's what it was. So, in the game, there was this glitch. You try to perform LeBron's signature move, and the game glitches. It stops. Your character is deleted. However, because Algae Rhythm was taking control of everything, and therefore they needed a way to glitch out everything to fix it, Bugs decided to be the one to do it because, you know, he's a Toon. Toons are invulnerable, right? Well, turns out, according to what the movie tried making it look like, was Bugs was in fact wrong. And so by glitching out and dying for the betterment of the other characters, he glitched out and flatlined.
And
I tell you, it was.
And then they get
so forced.
And then they get back to the real world, and like you said, LeBron takes his son to the E3 camp. And then all of a sudden, Bugs is just standing there like,
what's up, Doc?
I'm just like, how the hell are you even back? I knew they wouldn't really do it, but it still made no sense how he was able to get back. He's like,
and his only explanation was, I'm telling you, Toons are invulnerable. That was the only explanation we got was, Toons can't get hurt. Toons can't die. I'm pretty sure we've seen you die multiple times in the past, Bugs.
yes, We've seen you get smashed. We've seen you get shot at by Elmer Fudd.
But
I've seen you get devoured by freaking sea monsters, for crying out loud.
And I mean, the thing is, I mean, don't get me wrong. The end credits were way funnier than half the jokes in the movie. Mm-hmm. The jokes that we already spoiled for you were pretty much the funniest jokes in the film.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anything out of it. You might get a chuckle, but the only thing this movie's going to be good for at the end of the day is a drinking contest on how many characters you can recognize in that whole film. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, if you do turn that into a drinking game, make sure you're diluting your booze. Otherwise, you're going to be in the ER in about 10 minutes going, oh, God!
So, yeah, that's Space Jam 2. Oh, man, I got to say, I mean, we're over halfway through the year, and this is already a front runner for me for one of the worst movies of the year.
Honestly, this will probably be taking one of the top slots in my top 10 worst movies.
It's definitely in my top 5. Right now.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved the idea of all these characters coming together to watch a basketball game. I loved the concept of bringing back the Looney Tunes for something, and yeah, something that we know they've done before, kind of tongue-in-cheek humor for people who grew up with them. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to do that, give us something worth watching. Like, yeah, throughout the whole movie, you could tell they're just like, we don't fucking care. Pardon my French, but they just didn't.
Right.
They have no passion for this film specifically, and
all it was. You are absolutely right. All it was just a way for the. It's the biggest cash cow I've seen in a long time, and they basically attached themselves to a quote unquote A-list basketball player who. I'll be honest. He's like he has the same amount of emotion as a freaking blank wall.
No. You're insulting a wall.
I know.
You're insulting the wall.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to my wall, but I mean, I'm sorry. Did you buy for even a second that he believed anything that he was saying?
Did I allude I believed any of it?
Do you believe that when he's having conversations with his son that are supposed to be heartfelt, do you believe a damn word he says?
The only words that came out of his mouth during the entire movie that I believed had any emotion was, ooh, my favorite, when his wife said dinner was ready.
Oh, it was spaghetti and meatballs? Mm. He's like, ooh, that's my favorite.
Funny thing about it is, I'm not going to lie, the only slapstick that I say was actually pretty worth it before the animation took over. His other kid, who is taking up basketball the way his dad did, they have this automatic ball launcher. So you say ball, and it launches a ball to you. Mm-hmm. For like, what, 5 minutes? That poor kid kept getting hit in the head with a ball because everybody said ball so much. Yeah. And the kid didn't think to dodge or step out of the way. No, he would just stand there and bonk, bonk, bonk.
Yeah, for 5 straight minutes.
Because, comedy. Let's just abuse one child while you're emotionally abusing the other.
Right.
Like, come on.
I know, right?
This movie was not the strongest work of Warner Brothers or any of the properties they own.
Oh, absolutely not. This is not Iron Giant. This ain't...
Oh, this ain't the Hanna-Barbera universe.
This isn't freaking Batman.
This isn't the Looney Tune crossover comics.
Nope, this ain't Scooby-Doo. This is not, like you said, none of the Hanna-Barbera stuff. This is all just a cash grab from a desk. But yes, I mean, would you say they're desperate or?
I'd say they're just trying to do something that will bring in some money, but also be like hey, here's our who's who of our most popular lineup. Because if you watched how all the characters were introduced as like the background, you would see their most popular characters or characters they were most associated with were the front runners, and every other character was just sidelined.
Yeah. But all in all, I mean, look, I'm not hating on LeBron James. Well, I kind of am because.
But it's his acting that we're hating on.
It's his acting. I think he's a terrible person anyway. But seriously, his acting is just so wooden, so bland. It's like I would rather watch David Duchovny on Quaaludes, and he would give out a way better performance than LeBron James in this movie. Because, David Duchovny from the X-Files, he was Mulder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that guy. But seriously, I mean, dude, you should have gotten a better acting coach.
See, I kind of want to say, with how bland the acting was, I wonder if Gordon Ramsay would scream at him saying how bland it is.
Yeah.
I think that'd be way more entertaining than the movie we saw.
I mean, you know what? I would have loved to see Gordon Ramsay make an appearance in this movie. That would have made it a whole lot better.
I mean, they had other celebrity cameos. Why not just have him appear and be like,
You know,
Your acting is blander than that pasta over there.
Oh, because they gotta keep it kid friendly, even though they're basically whoring out LeBron James to you. Oh my God, I forgot to talk about this. Every other sentence in this movie is basically praising how good LeBron James is.
Oh, the whole build up to Al G Rhythm's plan was literally him scrolling through pages and pages of LeBron James just being like, he's the king, he's the king, he's the king, he's the king, all hail King James. Like,
oh yeah, he's a king, all right.
Michael, watch it. Put the bottle in your mouth. Just shut up. Shut up.
I was gonna say, king of letting down the Lakers. But anyway.
Pitchforks and torches. Email to this P.O. box if it ever appears.
Thank you very much.
Anyway.
Come at me, Laker fans.
Anyway. Before he incites more violence. I might incite violence on this movie, but that's a different story.
Oh, I would incite violence on this movie as well because... Look, I didn't think the original is anything spectacular, but looking back on it, I actually had to watch that again after watching the second one.
Let's be honest. The original one at least had heart. You at least believed Michael Jordan. Don't get me wrong, his acting was still bland too.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't any better than LeBron, but at least you could believe a portion of what he says to be true. Mm-hmm. Like, there are times where you literally don't know if any of these characters are looking at the CGI. Because now, instead of it just being 2D hand-drawn animation or digitally animated 2D cells, now you're looking at CGI Looney Tunes. Mm-hmm. Which means you have uncanny valley levels of realisticness in them. Which means Porky Pig now has uncanny valley level, like, smooth pig skin, and at the same time looks like Hannibal Lecter's next big deal. You've got the animals that are furries, and I guarantee you, the internet went wild with that.
Oh, Lord, especially with the...
You've got Granny taking her walker onto the field and showing why she's still the most butt-whooping grandma in the universe.
Yeah, and you have Speedy Gonzalez in there, who, ironically, was voiced by Gabriel Iglesias.
Again, love him. I absolutely love him.
I know.
Both the character and Gabriel Iglesias.
Oh, yeah, he's hilarious, but horribly underutilized here.
Oh my God.
And
his speed could have won the game instantly. Just bing, 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 bing.
And Speedy Gonzalez, the fastest mouse in all of Mexico.
And then you got Daffy Duck, who's like, I'm just going to take a backseat on this. I'm not playing. I'll let you guys play, and I'll be your manager. 2 seconds later, and I sucked at the manager.
he actually was the coach.
Manager, coach, whatever. I don't care.
And I think they tried to make him swear at some point.
You could tell they were trying to push the envelope, but they were not pushing the envelope at all.
No, see, this movie tried to do too many things. Like, number one, they're praising LeBron James like mad.
Porky raps.
Yeah, oh yeah, Porky raps in this.
But the thing is I actually enjoyed that scene because that pig has bars. That pig was just throwing the hottest mixtape out there.
He used his stutter
to his advantage. Like, anytime you think he was running out of steam and stuttering,
that's all, folks.
It was like the best thing ever because it was like almost like he's beatboxing while rapping because that stutter was and it's like no, and then it's like they did it.
But yeah, all in all, y'all, it's just don't bother. It's on HBO Max. Just watch something better.
Watch the original.
Yeah, watch the original.
Or go watch the other Looney Tunes shows that HBO Max has. By the way, not Spawn. It should be Spawn. HBO, call us.
Yes, absolutely. We would love to work with y'all.
However, I can guarantee you that movie was not worth the time. You'd be better off watching either a real basketball game, if you're into that, or if you're into slapstick and comedy and want to actually watch something good, watch Looney Tunes, the original Looney Tunes. HBO Max has it. HBO Max has new shorts coming out that actually feel like the original Looney Tunes with just a bit more polishing. You've got every iteration of Looney Tunes you could possibly think of on there.
Yep.
And you've got a wide catalog of stuff. Enjoy it.
Just don't waste your time. Even if you have kids and you want to say, "Oh, I grew up with Space Jam. Maybe my kids will like the sequels." Don't go into it with that mindset. The kids are not gonna like it. I mean, they might get into some of the Looney Tunes because what kind of kid doesn't get into the Looney Tunes? But they're not gonna get into LeBron James. They're not gonna get into algae rhythm. They're not gonna get into, oh, who are these characters in the background? Like, they don't know that stuff yet.
You're going to be better off just showing them the actual shows that those characters are from, or showing them a much better movie overall, like Iron Giant.
Yeah. Or anything that's Batman related from Warner Brothers.
Well, you gotta be careful with some of that Batman stuff. Some of it has bat nipples. And last thing I need are my little kids being
I was
like,
talking about the animated Batman stuff.
did I stutter?
Did you?
Because there are still Batman movies that may look like they're for kids, and they're not, because
No.
bat nips.
Yes, yes, I did review Batman Forever and Batman and Robin for the retro
I was referring
segment.
to The Killing Joke.
Oh, they have way worse stuff than that.
I know they do, but
Don't watch The Killing Joke unless you're over the age of 16.
at least. But needless to say, this movie's not worth the time. We keep saying that, and then we get onto some side train.
Yeah.
This movie's just not worth it. Now, however, we are on, what was that new app you were telling me about?
Oh, Letterboxd.
There we go.
We are actually now on Letterboxd, where you can look us up and see our written reviews for other films, that some that we've done and some that we've actually watched in the past but never reviewed.
And it's probably a great place for you to recommend movies to us if you want us to see anything and see if we either have the same opinion as you or if we feel like we were tortured and just absolutely just thrown into nothingness.
Yeah, if you go on our page, you can see that we did reviews for the original Lion King and the live-action Last Airbender movie, which ironically we gave that like half a star. You know what? One of these days, I will do that for the retro segment because there's a lot of people who love Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I'm one of them. My fiance is one of them.
Yes.
We love the animated shows. We love the novels that have come out. The comic books, absolutely love them. Mm-hmm. We cannot stand the live action movie. The live action movie is absolute garbo.
And shame on you, M. Night Shyamalan. I can't wait to see your new movie, Old Though. So, on that note, but yeah, I will be doing The Last Airbender live action movie at some point in the future. If you want to check us out on Letterboxd, go ahead and check us out there and see our reviews for, say, Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters, like I said, the animated Lion King, as well as we're going to take a look at some other great films on there, as well as, I mean, we just got done watching another HBO Max film that was supposed to have really good comedy, but
to just say the least, to let you be surprised, it was another slightly anthropomorphic movie where it mixed animation and reality, and it did not please like the masses had hoped.
Nope.
But for that one, you'll have to wait till we go live again.
So, for y'all, stay away from Space Jam 2. Not with your time.
Unless you want boredom.
Or unless you just hate yourself. Just go back, watch the original. You'll at least get some charm out of it. But I will say this does not
hit the bar.
Nope. Not only that, ZW, but this is not a buzzer beater winner. So
Definitely not.
So until next time, y'all, I'm Michael Eaton.
And I'm Zach. This has been Two Dudes Review.
God
now
help
pray for us.
God help us all.